Hello there, ladies and gents. Welcome to today's video. My name is Marko Hietala. In today's video, I'm going to do something special for you, my fellow children of Bodom and Sinergy fans. And that is, I'm going to talk about 5 interesting things that I learned from reading Alexi Laiho's autobiography, Chaos, Control, and Guitar. In 2015, after more than 10 years of legendary moments, Roope and Children of Bodom parted ways, but an official, unambiguous reason as to why wasn't given at the time. This led to a lot of us fans to speculate that Roope maybe left to rejoin Stone or start another band, or maybe Children of Bodom was reuniting with Alexander Kopala, the original co-guitarist. Ultimately, neither of these things happened to be true, and it wasn't until Alexi's autobiography came out that we got some answers. In Chaos, Control, and Guitar, Alexi states, "Let's be absolutely clear now. He was not fired from the band. He fired himself from the band." The next section is pretty long, so I'm just going to summarize most of what Alexi says, which is basically that in the 2 years leading to Roope's firing, he would miss half the rehearsals, would show up even a week late to recording sessions, could not perform well when it was time to record, and would not return phone calls or messages. Alexi went on to describe how he found it infuriating that Roope would never apologize for his behavior or simply just meant up for the job. So essentially what led to Roope's departure was that he was being lazy, at least according to Alexi in his autobiography. Now keep in mind, we don't have all the facts on this matter, so we shouldn't judge Roope, and we don't really know what he was going through during those days. I don't know, I like Roope, so I'm not going to judge him just based on this. It is well known among guitar nerds that before Alexi joined ESP Guitars in 2002, he was with Jackson Guitars. And many of us wondered if Jackson Guitars ever tried to get him back. Well, as it turns out, they did, and quite persistently. In Chaos, Control, and Guitar, when discussing endorsements, Alexi states, "Jackson Guitars is one of the companies that have tried to woo me back quite busily." But he goes on to state that he didn't intend to turn his back on a firm that has provided him with good products and services, referring of course to the almighty ESP Guitars. He also went on to imply that Dean Guitars made him an offer for a guitar endorsement, but he turned them down because he didn't like them, stating, "Because for me the look of the instrument is the second most important thing, right after the handling. I couldn't even think of myself appearing in front of a crowd with a Dean guitar." Without putting any particular person down, I would like to just say that for the record, there has only ever been one musician in the entire world that has managed to make a Dean guitar look cool, and that was the late great Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. Speaking of Jackson guitars, it turns out Alexi's Jacksons really were stolen. Let me back up a little bit. It's been a topic of discussion whether or not Alexi's Jackson guitars were stolen. When asked about it, Alexi said they were, but many individuals were hesitant to believe it, as it could have just been an excuse for him to jump ship and go to ESP Guitars, who ultimately built him better and more tailored instruments to be his signature series guitars. The belief that Alexi's Jacksons were not stolen did have some merit, as even as recently in an interview with Yanni Warman, he states this.
Silloin kun ne Alexin Jackson-kitarat mystisesti hävisivät, niin mä en jäänyt ihan hirveästi kaipaamaan, koska ne oli paskassa vireessä aina.
However, in Chaos, Control, and Guitar, Alexi reveals that his Jacksons really were stolen after a show in a studio music hall in Finland, stating, "The thief had known exactly what to do. There were no signs of breaking and entering, nothing else was gone, and the room did not look like it had been ransacked in any way. Only my guitars were missing. Notwithstanding the fact that I had purposefully placed them behind a backdrop to avoid any damage such as drink spilling on them." Prior to joining Nightwish, Marko Hietala used to be in a band with Roope and Alexi Laiho, Sinergy. It was actually when Sinergy was touring with Nightwish that Marko got acquainted with the members of Nightwish, which led to him joining the band. But joining Nightwish meant that Marko had to leave Sinergy. When describing this event in his autobiography, Alexi actually wasn't bitter about Marko leaving, and he actually had some nice things to say about not only him but also Tuomas Holopainen, stating, "He complemented the lineup and Tuomas Holopainen's vision perfectly. A fine man facing a major career upgrade, and getting to play the fantastic music of Tuomas Holopainen, whom I regard as one of the top composers of all time in heavy metal music." As a big fan of not only the bands that Alexi Laiho's worked in, but also Tuomas Holopainen and Nightwish, this was really nice to read. As a little side note, Marko Hietala actually returns these kind words to Alexi in his autobiography, Stainless, by stating this about him and Roope. "We would rehearse the songs quite thoroughly, but I have to say it was a real trial by fire for me, having to keep up with two of the best guitarists in the world." This one sits on number one for obvious reasons. These were two of my personal favorite musicians, and they left this earth way too early. The story of how they met, as told by Alexi in his autobiography, is really interesting. In Chaos Control and Guitar, Alexi states, Joey Jordison and myself became really tight friends on that track. There was this funny twist to us meeting for the first time. Some people had told me before that the physical resemblance between me and Joey is quite striking, so that was reason enough in itself to go say hi to him. He had heard the same thing from his buddies, and yes, we were both struck by how much we looked like each other. And this was naturally something not everybody could have figured out since all of the Slipknot members were hiding behind masks on stage. However, I can solemnly swear, even under oath, that the rumors of me looking like Joey and vice versa are not exaggerated. At least that was the situation in those days. It soon transpired that we're very much alike as people as well. Our personalities matched well, one thing led to another, and I was supposed to play on the second album of Joey's band, the Murder Dolls. Unfortunately, the schedules clashed with our own sessions, so that was not to be. A damn shame because I love that band's debut disc. How amazing would it have been for these two legends to make music together? Anyway, this was my favorite part of Alexi's autobiography. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about Alexi, then I encourage you to buy this book, as it really gives you an insight into his life story and thought process. I limited the list of this video to only 5 things as to not spoil the entirety of this book. So again, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more, then I encourage you to buy this book. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.